Okay, everybody, mice and men, we have things that happen, but we are here. It is Friday, and we're going to get this party started. Tonight, we're talking about some more basics, and we're going to answer a question, and that is, what do you consider when you're setting up a productive workspace? What do you consider when you're setting up a productive workspace? We're going to talk about that tonight in tonight's live stream. And Purpose for Productivity, this channel from Equip Institute is where you get strategies, processes, and approaches to reduce the friction in your systems and improve your ability to achieve your goals and your objectives. Welcome. I'm Florence, and I support purpose driven leaders and entrepreneurs through coaching and video tutorials done right here on Equip Institute. And I want to say hello to a couple people who may be in the chat with us tonight who may have said, "What just happened?" It's live. So I'm going to say hello, Frank. Glad to have you here with us serving. You're one of our moderators, and so glad to have you here in the building and other folks. And of course, happy Friday, Live Tribe from the Emotional CEO, who is also one of our moderators. He also happens to be the designer extraordinaire who makes all these wonderful backgrounds and give me tips and makes all the thumbnails and all that stuff that you see happening. It is truly not me. And Gretchen, so glad. Yes, go have a great time with your sister. I had a boo boo, but I'm happy about it because we keep going, right? Gretchen, we just keep going. Welcome to the show, Inanea. Glad to have you here in the building with us this evening. So, Gretchen, go have fun with your sister. I will talk with you at a different time. So, let's get into what we're going to talk about tonight. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is when you're considering this, is setting up and organizing your workspace. What does that look like? It looks like you deciding, first of all, identifying the area where you'll do your work. That means you have to know what work you are intending to endeavor to do. It is different for each of us. It may be work, I'm not saying a 9 to 5 job or a 9 to 9 business. I'm saying work. So that encompasses all of our life. I want us to get out of the habit of thinking of work is the place that we go to get a check. That is not what I define as work. Work is everything we do to run our life. So that's use that definition and that framework. So defining what area, where again, organizing, setting up and organizing your workspace, whatever that workspace is for you. Let me talk about a few examples you may want to consider. If you're talking about achieving some goal, some objective in your home, it may be you've designed a home office using an actual office built into your home. It could be a spare bedroom or a guest room in your home. It could be used as a studio. It could be your laundry room. It could be your dining room. It can be anywhere in your house. It can be a corner in your bedroom. It can be a corner in your living room. It can be in your home library. It can be in your garage. Whatever that space is, decide what the space is that's going to be where you do the work that you decide to do. One of our live streaming friends, um, homemaking with Denise, she loves to do laundry. So she's decided what her laundry room, how it's going to be organized, and it's set up for her laundry lab. That is exactly an example of what I mean by deciding where you're going to do this work and then you'll figure out what you need to set it up. So, if you're remote, you're outside of your home, it may be an office, it may be a gym, it may be a church, it may be a community center. It doesn't matter. But decide, even in those remote, it could be your car, totally mobile. Decide within that space, whatever that space is, that you're going to use, make a decision that that's what you're going to use for whatever that work is that we're talking about, right? So if it's you've decided you're going to get really fit and your work is all about what you've got to do to get fit, then you may have a combination, something in the gym. What is it you need in the gym? What is it you need in your car? What is it you need in your home? They all are clear. So, number one, again, is setting up and organizing your workspace to achieve the goal that you want. Number two is setting up a comfortable and personalized workspace. Now, how are these different? You've identified where that's going to be, but now how do you make it comfortable and personal for you? Some things to think about or questions to answer. What things do you need, or I call them artifacts, inspire you? What is it you want to see around you or smell? The scent that you want to have, the atmosphere that you want to create that really inspires you to want to move forward and achieve whatever that goal is that you've set. Remember last week, and if you didn't see it, you can go back and watch lessons that I learned achieving four goals. Whatever it is you're working toward, what's going to inspire you? Are there decorations, for example? If you're a person who loves decorations, what decorations do you want to have around you? If you're a person who loves music, what music? How are you going to get it into the space that you're in? Is it on a portable device? Is it external speakers? Is it headphones? Is it music playing it just in the atmosphere? Is it lo fi? Whatever type of music. But make a decision about what that is. Then also, personalizing is what furniture and other items do you need, right? What chair do you need? I bought new chairs. I had chairs, bought new chairs. I love these mesh chairs. They're comfortable, they're lightweight. I don't feel like I'm dragging something around. But whatever it may be a book stand, it may be a sit stand desk, it could be some fitness equipment. But whatever furniture you need that is going to inspire you and want you to get you to want to do the work is what I want you to think about. What lighting do you need? Do you need natural light? What background things do you need? You know, things like pen and paper, laptops, external monitors, stream decks, all that. Think about through all of it. What makes sense for you, for what you want to accomplish, that's going to inspire you and be very personal to you. If you like art, then make sure it's art around you. I love books. I'll give you what mine is. Books make me very happy. They calm me. So any place where I'm going to work, when I went to a remote office, I had books galore. I had big bookshelves, small bookshelves because books are my thing. I don't really care a whole lot about music. I like silence. But the books make a huge difference. I cannot work reliably or for any length of time in a space that's devoid of books. Something about me. I just can't do it. So, number three is then you've got the space you're going to work in, what it looks like for you, that it's going to make sense for you. Now you can lean into developing and honing your time management techniques and skills and getting those tools straight for yourself. M- Whatever that is. Examples that I want to give you are things like uh, setting up how you're going to capture ideas. This comes before anything else because we think of ideas, we ideate all the time. So, what is your capture system like? No matter where you are, if you're remote, if you are stationary, if you're at home, if you're away from home, if you're working with clients in their space, what do you need to capture information that's coming in? Do you use digital or analog? Meaning, do I use some kind of application or do I use pen and paper? It may be a combination of the two. But whatever it is, decide what it is that you need. My example, no surprise, is my Hobonichi. This thing has all kind of scribbles in it and doodles all over the place, but it works for me. So whatever, excuse me, whatever that is. I also use digital tools. You may have heard me talk about I use an application on my phone, particularly in my iPad, by the name of Drafts. I made the decision that those are real the capture tools for me. I have a thought, I have an idea, I want to make a list, I want to grab a picture or whatever. Those are the things that I tend to use. I'll grab my phone, open up the Drafts app, and or just take a picture, and then that ends up in Evernote. Those captured notes end up in Evernote. The handwritten notes in my Hobonichi end up in Evernote. I just snap them and stick them in there, but I don't capture in Evernote. I capture in the ways that I said. So, this number one, before you can figure out your task management and anything else, what is your capture tool? Huge, 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 huge. All your ideas and concepts and storyboards and all of those things, someplace consistent. The other one that you want to then start think about is what are you going to use for your task management? Task management tools abound. They're everywhere. It really is going to depend on how simple or how complex you want that to be. Do you want to use automation? If you want to use automation, then you're going to think about using a tool that allows you to build your tasks list in an automated fashion. I shared that I use drafts and I build automations that will take what I put in drafts and push it to my task management system or application named OmniFocus. I have done that for a long time, so it works for me. If you don't want to do that and you want something very simple, I've shared with you on this channel you can use Google Task on your phone, on your iPad, in the browser. That works. You can use really Apple reminders or whatever kind of reminder system. You can use a simple text application and a good old fashioned pen and paper. But figure out what your master task management tool is going to be and use it. If you start something new, here's my tip: commit to using it for an extended period of time, 3 to 6 months before you start looking to change it. Don't use it for a week, get frustrated, and then stop. Use it for 3 to 6 months so that you get familiar with it. The other tip that I will give you in terms of using techniques is have how you manage your task defined before you take on learning a new application, particularly, or a new tool. If you use paper and you need a very simple list, you can get a spiral notebook or a 3 ring binder and just take blanks of pieces of paper and write it down and get very comfortable with how you want to see those laid out. Don't do two at the same time. Don't try to figure out what your system, how you're going to process and organize what you have to do and learn a new application at the same time. Figure out your process, the steps that you'll go through, and then put the application with it. Trying to do both simultaneously will frustrate you to no end. You will be mad and upset and won't get anything done. Ask me how I know, because I did that, and that's how I learned not to do it. So, those are techniques And then you can, then you back into really digging into using sophisticated or robust calendar management techniques. You've heard me talk about it, and if you haven't, I've got uh, videos on the channel about various techniques with managing your calendar. If you're using a digital, things like using schedule booking systems make a huge difference. No, using time blocking in your calendar makes a big difference. Using color coding in your calendar makes a big difference. You can do almost all of this except the booking. You can do time blocking, you can do color coding, you can do how you name your calendar events digitally and analog. The only thing you can't do in analog is automated booking. You got to use a tool for that. But learning how to use your calendar effectively and then having it with you everywhere you are, all of the time. It does you, hate to say it, it does you no good to have a calendar and fill it in. And then you say to someone, I didn't know I had that thing to be at because you didn't look at your calendar. And you didn't look at your calendar for one of two reasons. A, you don't have it with you where you are, or B, you have not developed the habit of always checking your calendar. For me, no matter what I'm asked to do, if it requires me to be someplace or be with another person, I check my calendar before I say yes. It doesn't matter who it is. My best friend, if he came on, he would tell you, yep, she's going to check her calendar. My brother will tell you, yes, she's going to check her calendar. Everybody I work with, no, I'm very calendar driven when it comes to me needing to be someplace or do something with someone else. I'm meeting Monday with my mentor, one of my mentors, and we booked an appointment. He even knows, don't just try to call me because you're probably not going to get me. Let's book time and set it aside. So, whatever you use, digital or analog, make sure you can have it with you all the time and make sure you discipline yourself to use it. Now, there may be other equipment that you use other than those, and these are ones you're going to have to determine what makes sense. In my case, I'm doing video content, I'm doing live streaming, so of course, some kind of a camera other than the potato camera on my computer. The encoding software that I use is Ecamm. So any computer that I'm going to use for video production needs to have Ecamm on it. I use a teleprompter so that I can see. I use it more for eye contact than anything else, specifically because I use Zoom a lot for meetings and I use Ecamm for Zoom. Those are additional tools, and I had to learn to use them and be effective in using them. Okay. Um, and then, of course, you all know my control center is my Stream Deck. But let's say none of that is your case, and your project or your objective is to do something in your home. Maybe you need something like a ladder and a hammer and a drill. Whatever the tools are you need over and above those cores, make sure you A, know what they are, B, you have them, and C, they're in working order, and D, they are where you need them when you need them. Those four principles apply regardless of the type of tool, regardless of where you're working, regardless of how sophisticated or how simple your system is. Have those in place and be intentional. Make purposeful decisions about it. Don't be haphazard and be wandering around, and then you're not being efficient and you're having friction that you've introduced into your environment when you didn't have to. Hope this is making sense. I got some folks commenting out there, and I think there are some who have some things that they can share with us. So I'm gonna hop over and see what y'all got to say. So Tech Trouble, hey Roy, how are you? Says I have multiple calendars, but I always invite my master calendar. Crazy, but it works. This is the thing. You just proved my point. Find the system process that works for you. And your process is inviting all events, inviting your master calendar to all events works for you. That process is what's important. And you figured it out that it works for you. Okay. Uh, Inanea says, love that tip. I need to stay with a method or system longer. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. I learned, I really truly, I learned it the hard way. I was changing and I couldn't quite get myself settled. And that is how I was like, I was actually reading other people. And one of the tips I ran across in some of my reading was, and it was when I was studying GTD and really getting into GTD, one of the blogs I was following at the time said, stick with what you set up, your list that you set up, your calendar, your note taker, your capture tool. Stick with it long enough that it becomes a habit. And the other tip was, of course, what I shared tonight. Don't try to change too many things at one time, it becomes overwhelming. So, yeah, thank you for sharing your comments. And of course, if you have a question, please put Q colon in front of it and ask away. I would love to answer some questions for you. I'm just double checking here and see. Um, we do have a question, and so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick mini Q&A right now and answer this question. And the question is, do you ever sync your calendar with family or colleagues? All the time. All the time. Excuse me. So I'm going to walk you through an example, and I did this yesterday. And so this is very timely that you ask. I have a corporate job that I work at every day. And then I have the rest of my life that's not that corporate job. Two completely different systems. They're not merged together at all by the nature of what I do. I can't merge them. But what I can do, it's really important events that I need to see, especially if they're during the time that I'm going to be in that corporate environment. I will put a little appointment on that calendar to say what it is and what time it is. So I had a meeting last night that started at 5:45 p.m. That meeting is every other week. So I have that meeting on my corporate calendar just so I remember that it's happening. And even if I have a corporate event that bumps it, I'm aware of it. So that's one way I do it. Personal appointments, sometimes, especially if they're in the middle of the day, I will just put a reminder on that corporate calendar. I don't do the reverse. I don't take and put anything on the corporate world on my personal calendars. It's strictly the other way around. Now, in my case, I have a pretty consistent, I kind of know, not kind I know what my day looks like beginning to end as a general rule. And I'm yeah, I'm going to say I'm hardcore about my calendar. I'm very, very hardcore about how my calendar is managed. And the booking system I have set up, I've designed it in such a way that I can use the blocks of time that are available around my corporate requirements in some of the community service and nonprofit work that I have. Um, and because of that, it works for me and I don't get them confused. I keep my calendar on my phone, my personal calendar on my phone, and I have another phone that I have my personal calendar on and my work calendar on it, and so I can see them both easily. So I have it on a lot of different places, and I keep I put it in one and it flows every place else. So I'm not doing double entry other than those very few personal things that I will put on my corporate calendar, like if it's a personal appointment that I have to go to, medical appointment or whatnot, or something that is regular that I won't forget, a volunteer organization or organization that I volunteer with or something that I'm a part of. So that's what I do. So it does work and it works well and it's not a lot of um, overhead to maintain because you also don't want the friction of a lot of overhead. It'll take too much. My Hobonichi back here is my scribble book. It's not where I really manage all of that, but it's my scribble book, and because I use it that way, it's very effective for me. When I walk in, sit down at that desk, 'cause that's another desk over there. I open it up, and if I've got something to jot down, I'll just put it in there, an idea, even if I'm doodling or drawing a mind map, it goes in there. So that's how I do it. Okay, so Roy says here, I have to invite my family to events as they don't look at calendars regularly, but they get the calendar reminders. Okay. So you're collaborating and working with or connecting with other family members. And that's, Roy, you talk about that, and not everyone does. There are people, we know, all of us have people in our lives who are not disciplined about how they handle the 1,440 minutes they have every day. We know that. And they have to, especially as adults, they decide how they want to live their life. At the end of it, though, we all have the same amount of time. Pet peeve. I got asked today, what's one of my pet peeve? And the pet peeve I gave is not this one, but I'm going to talk about this one. A pet peeve for me is someone who disrespects their time, and as a result, they disrespect my time. It's a huge pet peeve. And when I find someone who does that, and that is their behavior pattern, I don't dislike the person. I like the person. I don't care for the behavior. And so when I encounter that behavior pattern, I disconnect. They have an extremely difficult time getting in touch with me, getting any time with me. Like they have to really go through a lot of hoops to get to me. Anybody who, emotional CEO can tell you, you will not get connected with me at all because I block them. And you may perceive me as a horrible person. I do it with my family because at the end of my life, the only thing I have is the 1,440 minutes a day. And how I use it and how each of us use it is, yes, move 2 seats to the left and pick my purse up, and they don't even know I moved. Thank you. Um, it's really how we use our time, it, it defines our life. It really, truly defines our life. And when people say to me, I was too busy to do something, it tells me whatever that thing is that they were too busy to do, it wasn't enough of a priority for them. That, like, literally, it just simply means it wasn't enough of a priority for them. And when I'm not, or what we've agreed to is not enough of a priority for someone, then I accept that. There's an old saying, when people show you who they are, believe them. Believe them, and they will show you by their action. If they don't respect their time, that's their choice. Believe who they show you they are in that very simple example. So I know I went on a little bit, but managing this time. There are no humans who have more. One person doesn't get more time in a day and another person gets less. We all have the same amount. We use it differently. We may have different we have different responsibilities. We have different obligations. We have different ways that we can manage it, but we still have the same amount. Nobody has any more or any less. And once we get that in our brain and we get it in our spirit that we all have the same amount, we will treat it with what it deserves. So many people say, I don't have time. The time you have is the time that the Lord gives you, and you're breathing and you're moving. The next 5 minutes is not promised to any of us. So every minute is precious. And so when I say purpose driven leaders, we all lead someone or some portion in of people in our lives and situations. We must be purposeful and intentional about how we use that time. And so these tips that I share is because I've learned through a lot of hard knocks and making a lot of mistakes how important it is, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So thank you, Yolanda, for saying exactly. You're exactly right. And I know that you understand that because you do a lot on your channel. Ooh, you do a lot. I'll just say that. I marvel at how much you do. So we've got one last consideration when you're starting to set up that environment and getting started in one. Maybe you're reviewing and deciding, hey, it's time for me to do a refresh. It's halfway through the year, I want to do a refresh. These are some considerations as you're walking through that. How do I do this refresh that's on my mind? And so the fourth one is minimizing distractions. Get those distractions out of the way. So, what do I mean by that? We all hear this, and we're going to start with technology first. Do not do not disturb is your friend on all of your computers, all of your phones, all of your tablets. Setting that time and blocking it so that only the people who you decide are essential can get to you during certain periods of time. Do not disturb. And if you get really hardcore, use airplane mode. Turn that thing off. Just because it rings doesn't mean you have to answer it. Just because someone sends you a text message doesn't mean you need to look at it or respond to it immediately. Just because somebody sends you something on WhatsApp or Signal or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram DM, or keep going. Even in your private communities, like I have a private community and people can do chat with me, they can post messages, but I'm not looking at it 24/7. Email, especially if you're in a corporate world, email is suck up all your day. So if you're sitting there with email open all day, it's a distraction and you're constantly looking what came in. Do I need to respond to it? Let me ask you a question. If you've been in the workplace long enough to remember these days, because I've been in it a minute. In the days when we used to use paper and memos that got written and put in the little yellow envelopes and it went through interoffice mail, you did not sit and stand at the mailbox in the office all day waiting for those little yellow envelopes to show up. You went about getting your work done. You did. You went about getting your work done. And then at some point in the day, you went to the mailbox, you grabbed them all out, and then you decided when you were going to open all that stuff and figure out what it was. Well, guess what? Email is the little yellow envelopes. Why, oh, why are we sitting up all day, every day looking at that stuff? Please tell me. So get rid of that distraction, minimize it. The other is sometimes we do things like turn music on, turn TVs on, um, get on the phone. I talked about text messages and social media posts coming up all the time. It takes discipline. It's easy to do and it's easy not to do. So it does take a little bit of discipline to get out of the habit that has been built that we need to pay attention to this stuff all the time. We don't. Simple example. I'm a Why do I know all this? Cuz I make all these mistakes. Not paying attention, being distracted. I almost put my phone in the washing machine cuz I wasn't paying attention, I was being distracted doing laundry. There was absolutely no reason for me to have the phone in the laundry room. None whatsoever. I just need to put the clothes in the washing machine. That's it. Instead, I put the clothes in, turned it on, and almost threw my phone in the washing machine in the water. Distractions. Trying to watch. I remember this one happened a long time ago. Came home, was getting ready to cook dinner. This is what distractions will do to you. Got in the house, getting ready to cook dinner, was trying to watch something or listen. No, it wasn't. I was trying to listen to a podcast. Listened to the podcast and wasn't paying attention and was cutting my finger and couldn't figure out why my finger was hurting till I looked down and saw the blood. With the knife, I was going to town, distracted. I have a scar on this finger to this day. Apparently, where I tried to cut my whole finger, the tip of my finger off, trying to just being distracted. These are things that I do to me. So I hope you don't have that story where you've done something so foolish, being distracted, but trying to listen to a podcast and maybe you can. I can't. Anybody who knows, my brother will tell you if I'm really focused on getting something done, I don't hear anything else. I block out. I had to train myself. I block out everything. I block out everything. So getting rid. I'm sorry, y'all. He telling on me. I'm just gonna let everybody see this because this is a shame. I'm just gonna let you see it. Another reason to keep you out of the kitchen. That is not even fair. That's just not fair. That's not fair. And Yolanda says, I struggle with that one. I need to improve that in that area. I would love to know which one you struggle with. That would be interesting for me to know. And so getting rid of those distractions is so critical. The other thing, and I've talked about them, and all of this noise is coming at us all the time. But if you want to get rid of stuff that's not moving you forward, these are essential for you to deal with and get them out of your way, get them out of your life, get them out of your system, and get disciplined about them. Because otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels and you're saying, I'm not getting anything done. I'm not getting anything done. Well, you're not getting anything done sometimes because you're allowing yourself to be distracted. Okay? Now, let me just say this. I am not saying, I do not believe that you should quote unquote work 20 hours a day and not have any downtime. Downtime, recovery time, restoration time is important. That is, for periods of time, your work to restore your mind, your spirit, your body. The other day, I just needed to get up and get out of the house in the middle of the workday. I was like, I got to get away. And I just took 45 minutes and got out. I was just like, I need just a little bit of time to recenter. I wasn't doing any work. I took my phone, but I didn't take any phone calls. I didn't respond to any messages. I didn't look at email. I just needed 45 minutes to rejuvenate myself. On Fridays, before this show, I need a little bit of time just to let everything off of me and have myself in a frame of mind. So it's not always that you're doing quote unquote work that's essential as a part of being productive. That rejuvenation time is vital. Our minds, our spirits, our bodies, all they need that. So don't neglect yourself, but also balance it. Don't say to yourself, I'm off work, so now I don't have to do anything else except sit and veg. Those are extremes. It's somewhere in the middle. It's where you're going to be. And you're going to be really, really productive. And when I say productive, I mean you are accomplishing the thing that you decide is important to you, whether it's in your home, in your family, in your health, in your business, in your job, in your volunteer work, wherever it is that is important to you, something that you decide you want to achieve. You will be productive doing it if you follow these four simple steps. Number one, set up and organize that space you're going to be doing it in, wherever that happens to be. So that means you've got to decide where that space is for each of those goals, each of those objectives. Number two, get it comfortable and personalize it. Make it someplace that you want to work and that will inspire you to do the thing that you want to do. It will give you energy. It will fuel you to keep going. Number three, learn those time management techniques and get the right tools to help you. Things that work with you and for you and not against you. And the last one, which is hard for us in society today, minimize distractions. Get them out of your way so that you can do the thing that you are designed to do, that you're intentional about accomplishing, and that will fuel your heart, your mind, and your spirit. I pray that this has been useful for you this evening. And I'm going to do a quick check and see if anybody has any further comments or questions. Well, I'm going to say hello to someone. Hello out there, 24-hour boss. So glad to see you in the building. Welcome, welcome. You're also part of the M3 Live Tribe. So glad to have you here with us this evening. And y'all leave me alone about the kitchen. Frank is talking about remove the knives from the kitchen. See, that's why you don't tell people stuff, because then they start messing with you. I shouldn't have told you. Yolanda says, I struggle with minimizing distractions. I need to respond to people quickly at the expense of what I may be focused on. Go to my website. Let's talk. Book some time. You also have my email address, but go to my website, book a 15-minute call with me. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. And 20 for time management and those distractions is what I'm working on. Yeah, distractions. There are so many. There are so many. They're everywhere. You know what? They breed each other. They breed each other. Oh my, you know what? My heart is full right now. Philip, Philip. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you're here. It is so good to see you. Thank you for coming through. I am, oh, my heart is full. You just made me very happy, sir. Thank you for coming through. It has been a little bit of a time, and I pray that you are doing well, that things are starting to get a little bit better. So thank you for coming through today. Will y'all please stop talking about me? I'll tell you about the coffee cups later. Are you talking about the one that I left on the table with the mirror? I know. I know. I know. I know. And what are you talking about? Say less. I don't even know what you're talking about. Say less. Thank you, Philip. Thank you. I'm looking forward to when you get back started producing your devotions and put us back on track. I'm looking forward to that day when you're ready to start again. I will be right there watching every single one of them. So thank you. Well, gang, we have gotten through a lot. If no one else has any other questions, um, I apologize if you just heard that. My doorbell just rang. Um, if you have no other questions, we're going to say good night, and I'm going to put a video. It's right here. Come watch it. It'll be from a tip to help you do better and remove friction in your system so that you achieve the thing that you're purposed to do. Have a great evening, everybody.